Alex was stunned. He couldn't react in time. He had known Sue for less than 3 hours. How could he be her boyfriend for no reason? No, don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying that tomorrow you'll pretend to be my boyfriend and help me pass my mother's test. Or else she'll force me to date the man she's trying to set me up with. Just help me, okay? Sue felt that she'd had an excellent idea and lightly pulled on Alex's arm with her 2 small hands to convince him. Alex gently pushed her hands away. He was feeling very conflicted and confused. He didn't know what to think, and he didn't know if he should agree to her request. Debbie's image flashed across his mind, and his heart ached. He was already dating Debbie, so how could he pretend to be another woman's boyfriend? Alex said in a low and embarrassed voice, "Sorry, but I can't help you with that." "Why can't you help me? You just need to come with me to my house tomorrow and say that you're my boyfriend. Don't you want to help me?" Sue demanded. She had managed to think of a way to deal with her mother, but Alex wouldn't cooperate. "It's better that I'm not involved. You can find someone else," Alex said weakly. Sue glared at him with a crinkled nose. "You can help me, but you won't. I was wrong about you. You and Philip Geller are the same kinds of people. You're both—" She couldn't finish her sentence. She knew that Alex wasn't a bad person, but his indecision frustrated her. "You're really pissing me off." She didn't say anything further to him. She stood up, walked to her bedroom, and after some rustling noises, she walked out with her luggage. "Where are you going?" Alex asked in surprise. Can't you see I'm not going on a tour? I want to leave," Sue sneered. Alex quickly stood in front of her and asked with a frown, "I thought you had nowhere to go. Where are you going?" "Do you care if I sleep on the streets? Get out of the way. If I get killed on the streets, it'll be because of you." She pushed Alex out of her way. "All right, I agree," Alex caved in. "Don't block my way." "Wait, what did you just say?" Sue stopped. "I said I'll help you," he repeated. "So, you agreed after I said I was going to sleep on the streets?" She didn't believe him. "Whatever you want." Alex sat back down on the sofa. Sue felt more reassured by his promise to pretend to be her boyfriend. "Alex, thank you." She left her luggage and sat beside him. She held his hand with a sincere look in her eyes. She felt that she had been too intolerant. "You're too kind to me." Alex smiled at her. He knew he would only be pretending to be her boyfriend and it would not be real. If Debbie were here right now, she would want me to help her, he thought. He sat in the room for a while longer and chatted with Sue about what they were going to do the next day. Sue said that she would pick him up from Preston University. When Alex reached the Washington Heights, he got out of the bus and went to the nearby market. He bought a live chicken and walked toward his villa. When he reached the front door, he saw a couple standing nearby. He didn't know what they were doing there, so he walked over to ask, "Mr. Ambrose, hello, hello." Seeing Alex, the couple walked over enthusiastically. When they saw his puzzled expression, the man reminded him, "You don't remember us? We met when you bought this villa." As the man said this to him, Alex remembered that when he had bought the villa, there was a young couple there who had mocked and ridiculed him. This was the unpleasant couple. Thinking about their previous behavior, Alex couldn't help but be on guard. "What are you guys doing here?" "I'm sorry, we didn't recognize you the last time. We offended you. Please forgive us for our rudeness." The man secretly waved his hand at the woman, who quickly responded with an apology as well. "Mr. Ambrose, I'm sorry. Please forgive us." "I don't have a lot of time right now. Just say what you want to say." Alex didn't have a good impression of this couple, so he wasn't willing to talk with them for long. "Oh, we won't take up your time," the man said quickly. "My name is Jack Sanders, and this is my wife Claire," introducing himself to Alex. "It's like this. We wanted to buy this villa, but you ended up buying it. We'd already told our friends and relatives that we'd bought it, so we didn't dare tell them the truth after you purchased it. We let them think that we had this villa. It's our fault. We loved it here. Jack pointed to his wife. We thought we could afford to buy a villa here, but we don't have enough money. A few days ago, my mother-in-law called and asked to see our house. We couldn't tell her the truth, so we thought we would try looking for you. Why are you looking for me? Alex asked in amusement. He remembered that this couple had been very arrogant back then, and now they were stuttering in front of him. We wanted to ask if we could rent your villa for one day for $3,000, so we could show it to my mother-in-law. What do you think? Jack asked politely. You are such a good son-in-law, Alex said sarcastically. Mr. Ambrose, I must admit that I have a lot of respect for you. However, if you don't help me with this time, I'll look bad in front of my mother-in-law. Her family will look down on me. Please have pity on me and let me rent it from you for a day, Jack said with a frown. That's right, Mr. Ambrose. Please help us, Claire also pleaded. Alex thought about it for a while and finally agreed. Fine. Thank you, Mr. Ambrose. On behalf of our family, I thank you. Jack and Claire looked grateful as they said, We'll transfer you the money right now. There's no need for money. You guys should earn more money and try to buy your own property as soon as you can. That way you won't have to lie anymore, Alex said. Oh, right. When will you need to use the villa? Tomorrow, but can you please arrange to not be here? That way my mother-in-law won't suspect anything. Jack asked respectfully. Tomorrow's fine. I have to go do some things with a friend. Alex thought that the timing would work well for him. He would go with Sue to see her mother and leave the villa for the couple to entertain their family. After Alex handed them a key, they thanked him profusely and left. Alex shook his head and headed into the villa. Oh no, Alex thought as he walked through the door. He had forgotten that the 17-year-old grandma was always at home. What if the couple or the man's mother-in-law saw her? He thought about it some more but decided that it wouldn't be that troublesome. The grandma had been living in this villa for several days, and Alex had not seen her leave the house or eat anything. There was usually no sound coming from her at all. Alex thought that the grandma must fly out the window to eat. As he thought about this teenager who had looked like an old woman when he had first seen her, but had then regained her youth, he felt that she was very mysterious. Knock, knock. Alex lightly knocked on her door. Grandma, I've brought you a live chicken. After he waited a long time, there was still no sound coming from inside the room. He found it strange, so he turned the key and gently opened the door. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor with her eyes closed, as if she were practicing meditation. Wisps of white smoke were coming out of her head, and her face was covered in sweat. Grandma, how are you? Alex ran to her side and supported her. Have my powers deteriorated so much already? The old woman lowered her head and mournfully cried, Ah! Ah! Her voice was filled with such power that it shook Alex. He had to cover his ears, as if it felt like his eardrums were about to burst. Grandma, don't be so impatient. If you're more patient, you'll get better, Alex said to comfort her. Patience? Time is what I haven't got right now. If I let that Zora cook find me before I recover my power, I'll be in danger. Do you understand? She glared at Alex and scolded him. She had gained more familiarity with him over the past few days. Huh? Alex did not understand. Grandma, who is Zora? Is she very strong? Are you suggesting that she wants to kill you? Why are you asking? Grandma felt that she had said too much and decided she had better stop talking to him. You're not trying to find out more about me to tell that Zora, are you? No. Alex waved his hand as if to dismiss her notion. He had never heard that name before. By the tone of Grandma's voice, it appeared that she had a deep grudge against this person. Alex had to quickly establish that he was in no way connected to Zora. I just care about you. Care? Grandma sneered and looked at him with her sharp eyes. The words of men can't be believed. Did he say back then that he would protect me for the rest of my life? Neither of you men are good people. Alex didn't know who the woman was talking about, but her voice contained a trace of sadness and bitterness. It seemed that she had been hurt by some man before, so she had lost confidence in all men. What kind of unforgettable relationship did that man have with her that could still injure her so deeply? Granny, that Zora... Alex wanted to ask her who Zora was, as after all, he was the heir to a very wealthy family. He should be able to help Grandma. Before he could finish his sentence, the Grandma, Georgina Fox, waved her sleeve. Alex felt a strong gust of wind as he was lifted through the air. Bam! His body sharply hit the wall. He felt a pain in his back. I told you, don't ask me things that you shouldn't ask. Grandma looked at him coldly. Alex's back hurt, and he was even more shocked. She just said that her power had deteriorated, but she seemed to be so strong. He couldn't even imagine how strong she would be when she was at her. Alex slowly got up. However, he couldn't do anything about this weird grandma. You've got a pretty strong body. She looked at him without a shred of apology, and there was a trace of a smile on her face. Meanwhile, he eyed her speechlessly. Alex had let go of the chicken as he hit the wall and landed on the ground. The rope that tied its feet broke, so the chicken flapped its wings and flew toward the window. Grandma's eyes froze. She stretched out her hand, and a thin blade appeared in her palm. With a whoosh sound, the flying chicken fell to the floor. It looked like its neck had been cut off. The old woman reached out her hand again, and the dead chicken flew toward her as if it were being pulled by a rope. Grandma, I'm leaving. Alex felt disgusted and scared at the same time. He lowered his head and walked out of the room. Only when he had left did he realize that he had forgotten to mention that there would be someone at the villa the next day. But he was sure that she wouldn't be foolish enough to come out of her room, so it was unlikely that she would scare the people. After thinking it through, he went into his own room. The next day, Alex received a call from Sue, and then went to the university's south gate to wait for her. After a while, a taxi arrived and stopped by the gate. Sue got out. That day, she made Alex's eyes light up. She wore a black and white striped dress, and her hair flowed in loose waves. She looked just like a model. Sue glanced at Alex and sighed. She walked over with a shopping bag in her hand. You're going to be cursed to death by my mother. Hey, you know I'm just a poor student. I don't have any good clothes. Alex scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. Thank goodness I prepared for this. Here, you can put these on. She handed him the shopping bag. You didn't buy me clothes, did you? He slowly took out the items in the shopping bag and was surprised. There was a nice summer suit, a pair of shoes, and an expensive-looking watch. Although they were not particularly extravagant items, they still looked expensive. Where did you get this much money from? He asked. Alex's first reaction was that he was being cheated by Sue. How could she afford such nice things and not be able to pay rent? Did she lie about losing her job? Alex hated it when others lied to him. He would definitely throw these things on the ground and leave without looking back if she had lied to him. I rented these clothes for $30 for the day. I'll return them after you come back to my place. Do you really think I have the money to buy these things? Sue whispered as she moved closer to him. She was a bit embarrassed, so she was secretive and afraid of being overheard. Huh? He didn't really expect her to come up with such an idea. He looked at the items again. He wasn't sure about the clothes and shoes, but the watch was undoubtedly fake because the hands stood still. What are you doing? Hurry up and put the clothes on. We need to get going. Sue pushed him a little, so he quickly went to a nearby men's room to change. That looks much better. Sue nodded with satisfaction when she saw him walking over wearing the outfit. She gently fixed the collar of his rented shirt. Remember, your identity today is a young man from a pretty good family. Your family has a small online company. Do we really need to do this? Alex was a bit worried about being a fake boyfriend. What do you mean? My mom has her eyes on a man's family. If your family isn't good enough, she definitely won't like you. She'll push me into dating the other guy. Our mission today is to let my mother compare you with the man she found for me. She has to feel that you and I are the perfect match. Do you understand? Sue explained. I understand, but what about after that? Alex was still a little worried. Since he was helping Sue this one time, would she be causing trouble for him from then on like Karen did? I'll just make up a reason in the future to say that we broke up. Don't worry, I won't lie to you. Sue was still a little disappointed. What did he mean by that question? He thinks he's not worthy of a girl like me, she thought. Let's go. Sue didn't think too much about it. She and Alex waved down a taxi and went to her mother's house. A young man named Gary sat on the sofa at Sue's mother's house and chatted with her mother, Sarah. Gary, Sue is happy to be working in journalism. What about you? Sarah asked with a kind smile. Gary had been introduced to her by her sister, and she had heard that his family background was very good. You likely already know about the special movie town that's been set up next to the science park, right? I feel that over the past few years, our country's film industry has been a treasure trove, so we've started a company to do some side films and TV dramas. We also provide props for the various production teams. We've done well, and over the past year, my own net income has been close to $150,000, Gary said humbly. Sarah's eyes lit up when she heard how much money he earned in a year. All right, I think the two of you will have some things in common. When Sue gets here, you should have a good chat with her, her mother said. Ding dong, rang the doorbell. Sarah went to open the door with Gary following behind her. It was her youngest daughter, Sue. You finally remember to come home? Sarah greeted her with a rebuke. She had 3 daughters, but this girl was disobedient. Sue was already 26 years old, but she still wasn't worried about her future. Since her eldest daughter's daughter was already going to college, how could she not be worried about Sue? Come in. Gary has been waiting for you for over an hour. Sarah was in a hurry to get her daughter to meet the young man. I told you, you don't have to worry about me. Don't worry about me, muttered Sue. If I don't worry about you, then who will? If only you would bring home a man, I wouldn't be in such a hurry, right? Sarah's attitude was a little anxious. This daughter of hers was already making her reach a breaking point. How could she not find a husband yet? Sue pursed her lips and pulled Alex, who was standing beside the door, into her mother's sight. Hello, Alex said with an awkward smile. Hello, who are you? Sarah asked with a puzzled expression. This young man seemed to be well-dressed and quite handsome. Sarah couldn't help but be polite. His name is Alex. He's my boyfriend. Sue glanced at Alex as if she said this to her mother. He's your boyfriend? Sarah was obviously surprised. If Alex had not changed his clothes, she would have. However, he looked very decently dressed. Can it be that this young man is from a good family? She wondered. Alex nodded. Let's go in, Sue said as she pulled Alex into the house. Hello, Sue. My name is Gary. Gary, who was standing inside the living room, greeted her enthusiastically as she walked toward him. He was extremely excited to meet her. She looked even prettier than in the photos. Hello, Sue replied coldly. She motioned for Alex to sit on the sofa while she went to her father's picture to light a candle. Gary, look. Sarah felt quite awkward. Sue had already said that Alex was her boyfriend, and Alex looked like he had a pretty good family background. She couldn't push her daughter toward Gary anymore. However, Sarah was still quite cautious. She didn't know which of the two young men was wealthier, Alex or Gary. It was not good for her to express her thoughts too clearly. It's fine. It wasn't as if Gary had not heard what Sue had said to her mother at the door, but when he saw Sue's stunning beauty, he had resolved to use all the means at his disposal to snatch her away. Gary shot an unfriendly glance toward Alex. Huh? Thought Gary. He focused on Alex's clothes and looked him up and down. He nodded his head with a mocking smile in his eyes. Alex looked down at his outfit, but he didn't see anything wrong with it. Sue went back to the living room and sat beside Alex. Sue, when did you and Alex meet? Why didn't you tell me about him? Sarah's words were meant for Gary to hear, indicating that she didn't know that Sue already had a boyfriend. Sue and Alex looked at each other. They could see the nervousness in each other's eyes. Sue flipped back her hair and said, "Several months ago, right?" "Alex, what does your family do?" Sarah asked without hesitation. She wanted to get to the bottom of this right away and compare Alex and Gary to see which one was better. She didn't want to waste the opportunity of meeting the two young men at the same time. "Oh, we have an internet company. It earns over $1 million a year. It's not a big company." On the way to the house, Sue coached Alex quite a lot, so he remembered her instructions quite clearly. "Oh, Alex is really funny. It's not a big company." When she heard how much Alex's family could earn in a year, Sarah was grinning from ear to ear. It seemed that Alex's conditions were even better than that of a high-class family. She started to look at Alex like a mother-in-law would look at her son-in-law. "Ugh," Gary snorted. He could not help but shake his head and smile playfully. "Alex might be more capable than me," Gary said. "You probably don't understand. Let me explain to you that he's wearing a suit that costs at least $500. It looks like he's wearing designer shoes that cost at least the same amount. That watch is even more expensive. It's probably over $2,000. My clothes are just over $1,000 and are nothing compared to his outfit." If it were not because of Gary's comparison, Sarah wouldn't have noticed that Alex's clothes were so expensive. She looked at him with even brighter eyes. "I knew it. I thought Alex looked very smart. So it's that expensive. No wonder." Alex and Sue both had unnatural smiles. Sue adjusted her position on the sofa, covering Alex's clothes even more. Alex also subconsciously covered his watch. "He earns a lot of money, but he likes to spend it too. I'll watch his spending in the future," Sue added. "Alex, I like your shoes. Which mall did you buy them from? I'll also go buy a pair," Gary asked. "Ah." Alex was caught off guard by his question. "My mother bought them for me. Yes, my mother bought them for me, and I'm not sure where. I'm too busy at the company every day, so I don't have time for shopping." Alex and Sue finally felt relieved. "What about your watch?" Gary asked, before they could catch their breath. "My mother bought it for me too. I don't usually care about these things," Alex said as he braced himself. "This Alex. Sue, you have to help him more in the future. At his age, he can't just be relying on his mother," Sarah said with a kind smile. "Alex, what's the name of your internet company? Where is it located?" Gary asked aggressively. Our family's company's called the Cloud Network Company. It's located on New Street Corner. No, New Street. Oh, 10th Street. Sue had discussed the name with Alex in the taxi, but they didn't talk about it in detail. He already had a lot of things to remember, and he couldn't get them all right. So, Sarah was also suspicious. She looked at Alex in confusion and then at her daughter. "Alex has been studying abroad and doesn't know very much about his family situation right now," Sue said, quickly trying to smooth things over. "That's not right. Alex just said that he was busy at the company every day, so he didn't have time to shop for his own clothes and shoes. His mother had to buy them for him, isn't that so?" Gary keenly grasped the discrepancy. "Yeah, what's going on, huh? Alex, Sue?" Sarah couldn't help but ask. "Mom, Alex was too careless." Sue wanted to find a way to smooth things over, but Gary started talking even louder. "Do you still not understand? This guy called Alex has been lying since the moment he walked through the door." Gary pointed his finger at him. "Do you think Alex is lying to me?" Sarah looked at Gary in disbelief. "That's right," Gary sneered as he walked over to Alex's side. He contemptuously tugged on his clothes. "They're all fake, yet you dare to call yourself rich." "Nonsense! Why did you say that? I don't want to see you here. Get out of here now." Seeing that the situation was getting worse, Sue stood up and angrily rebuked Gary. "Sue, don't be silly. This is a swindler." Gary pointed at Alex and said provocatively, "Do you dare to show your watch to her mother and me?" "Why should he show it to you? Who are you? What obligation do we have to show it to you? Get out of here right now." Once the watch was in their hands, the whole situation would be exposed. Sue had to kick Gary out immediately. Only then would she have a chance of surviving this mess. "Shut up," Sarah shouted. She could tell that there was something fishy going on. She looked at Alex and said, "Alex, let me see your watch." Alex was extremely conflicted. Sue was also feeling very anxious. What should she do? But now that he was forced into the situation, Alex lowered his head slightly and slowly raised his right hand. He pointed his watch at Sarah. He wanted to admit to her that he was pretending. "Gary, what did you say about Alex's watch just now?" Sarah glanced at the watch, but she didn't find anything wrong with it. "Take a good look at the second hand on his watch again," Gary chuckled. "Ah, why isn't the second hand of this watch moving?" Sarah noticed that something was wrong, and at the same time she looked anxiously at Gary. Of course it's not moving. How can a fake watch work? Gary had accurately pointed out the flaw. A fake? Sarah was shocked as she looked at Alex and Sue. Alex had an embarrassed expression on his face. Sue lowered her head and didn't care to look into her mother's eyes. Sue's face was red and flushed. "This watch is not just a fake." Gary walked over to Alex's side and lightly tugged at his clothes he was wearing. "Not only is that watch a fake, even the clothes and shoes he's wearing are fakes." "Ah." Sarah scrutinized Alex's expression. Then she looked at Sue with a deep gaze, making them both squirm. "Nonsense! What right do you have to slander my boyfriend? Who are you? If you say what he's wearing is fake, then you might think it must be true. Get out of here." Sue was shaken by her mother's gaze as she subconsciously made a move to fight back. "Sue, you were deceived by this swindler. You should not have doubted my words. Why are his clothes fake?" Gary pulled Alex's collar and skillfully flattened it. A small white strip was on the lining of the shirt that said, Item 52. "Hey, you see, the clothes he's wearing are actually from the film crew." Gary took out a business card and handed it to Sue. "This is my card. I opened a company and I have a business that provides props to film crews. Unfortunately, this guy's clothes, shoes, and watch are all rented from my company." "What?" Sue felt like she had been struck by a bomb. Her mind went blank. What else did she have to say? The clothes she had rented were rented from a film company? What kind of weird joke was this? "Am I right, Alex?" Gary asked provocatively as he looked at him in disdain. "Get over here." Sarah pulled Sue over. She was furious and frowned anxiously as she spat out, You, look at the person you're dating. Now say that I don't need to introduce you to anyone. If Gary weren't here today, I can see that you wouldn't even know that you were being lied to." She had no way to refute her mother's words. Sarah pulled Sue behind her. "Who exactly are you? What are you doing here? Tell me honestly." Sarah walked up to Alex and shouted at him. "I'm a student at Preston University." There is no need for Alex to hide anything. "Student? You're a university student? Your school just taught you how to cheat, right? With your honest looks, I didn't expect you to be so full of evil tricks." Sarah pointed at Alex and scolded him. "Why are you still in my house? Get lost. Do you not know how to leave? If not, I'll help you." With that, Sarah started to drag Alex away. "What are you doing? Don't push him." Sue walked between Alex and her mother as she tried to stop her. If her mother chased Alex away, she would be forced to date Gary. This was not something she could accept. "You damned girl, he's a... Are you still gonna let him stay here?" Sarah glanced at Alex speechlessly. She began to beat him with her hands. "Come on, you. Get out of my house. Don't lie to my daughter again. Get lost." "Why did you hit him?" "Don't hit him," Sue screamed and hugged Alex, standing in front of him so that her mother could not get at him. "Sue!" Sarah was angered by her daughter. "Do you not see that he's a liar? You're still protecting him. Do you want to be cheated by him until you're worthless? Until he away all your money and wasted all your time? Are you willing to give up? Are you stupid? Yes. Sue had never spoken to her mother like this before, but now she was ready to throw caution to the wind. I just like him. Whether he's lying to me or not, I won't marry anyone else. I won't look at anyone else you find. Sarah glared at her daughter. She was unable to say a word and felt she was on the verge of having a heart attack. Do you think you're serious? Seeing how her mother was about to fall ill, Sue's heart was torn and in pain, but she had to fight for herself. Don't suffer too much. Your health is more important. Gary comforted Sarah before preparing to walk in front of Sue. Sue, listen to me. This man is not good for you. Why do I have to listen to you? Leave now, shouted Sue. All right, I won't say any more. Gary shut his mouth resentfully. Of course, he wouldn't just leave like that. He went back to sit beside Sarah and comfort her. Alex didn't expect things to turn out like this. He frowned and looked at Sue. She nodded slightly, meaning that he should just listen to her. 20 minutes later, Sarah finally calmed down. Gary, you can eat at our place today. Don't worry. Don't look at how things are right now. In a few months, you'll be able to brag. When the time comes, I'll let you know when you can date my daughter. Sarah saw that he had been insulted by Sue, but he hadn't left. It was obvious that he liked Sue very much. I have a good relationship with Alex, Sue said as she turned toward Gary. Even if I were to split up with him, it would be impossible for me to fall for you. It's all right, Gary, just listen to me. Sarah patted his hand and nodded at him. Gary smiled awkwardly and thought, since I've already won over her mother, it'll be much easier for me to win over Sue. Sarah couldn't get rid of the day, but she couldn't let Alex get away with it either. She pointed to the bathroom and commanded, Mom, aren't you going too far? Sue looked at her mother angrily. Do you think I'm being excessive? Pfft, Sarah sneered. If you don't clean the toilet, get out. You're nasty. Sue did not hesitate to quarrel with her mother again. Forget it. Alex held Sue's hand and shook his head slightly. He looked at Gary, who was smiling, and Sarah, who couldn't wait to yell at him again. He said softly, I'll go do it. With that, Alex walked toward the bathroom. Clean it good for me. If you can't clean it, you'd better get out of here, Sarah shouted at Alex's back. Sue started scrolling through her phone and didn't say a word to Gary or her mother. She had achieved her immediate goal, as they both thought that Alex was her boyfriend, and it would be impossible for her mother to force her to date Gary. Rang the doorbell again. Sarah opened the door and saw 2 women and 1 man standing outside. It was her second daughter, Claire, son-in-law, Jack, and her granddaughter, Rose. Jack and Claire were the couple that had asked Alex to rent the villa to them. Mom! Grandmother! Hey, why are the 3 of you together? Rose, where are your parents? Seeing the 3 of them, Sarah's mood improved slightly. Oh, Grandma. Rose held Sarah's arm affectionately. My dad has to work, and Mom has been looking after Grandpa in the hospital these past few days, so I'm the only one who could come over. I called Aunt Claire, and she said that she wanted to go to Preston University to pick me up, so we came over together. Sarah looked at Rose and mumbled, Your parents are really something. They even avoided coming to your grandfather's birthday. Oh, my Grandma, if you don't think I'm qualified to represent them, I'll call my parents right now and insist they come over, Rose said teasingly. You're clever. Okay. I've missed you so much, you little thing. Hurry up and light a candle for your grandfather. Sarah pinched Rose's cheek, then turned to Jack and Claire. Come on in. She looked at Jack with a kind gaze. She had always been very satisfied with this son-in-law. Seeing that Sue had arrived earlier, Rose was pleasantly surprised. Together with her aunt, she lit a candle for her grandfather before sitting down beside Sue. Jack and Claire also sat down on the sofa. Mom, is this... When Claire saw Gary, she could guess that this was the man her mother had recommended to Sue. Gary took the initiative to greet Jack, Claire, and Rose. Jack and Claire had a good impression of him and exchanged business cards. "So, Gary, you're the founder of the film company. That's kind of like what Sue does. She's a sports reporter." Claire knew that since her mother had invited Gary to her house, she must have revealed her intentions of introducing him to her sister. "If Sue can give me the opportunity, I would naturally want to discuss some films and sports stories with her. I'm just afraid that she won't give me this opportunity," Gary smiled. Seeing that Jack and Claire's impression of him was not bad, he wanted to gain their favor to speak on his behalf in front of Sue. As soon as Gary finished his sentence, Sue glared at him. Her displeasure toward him grew even stronger. "Oh? What do you mean?" Jack and Claire were both curious. They looked at their mother, who seemed to know something. "Sue found a man," Sarah said with a sigh. "You found the right man." Jack, Claire, and Rose were shocked. Claire quickly asked, "Who?" Sarah sighed heavily as her brows furrowed. She looked at Sue and said, "She found a liar. He came to our house wearing fancy clothes and a watch. He claimed that his family owned an internet company, so they were high income. Luckily, Gary exposed him. Otherwise, I would have believed it." "Huh?" Claire and the rest looked very surprised. "Did you chase him away?" "I had to send him to... If I kicked him out, he would have fought me like Sue," Sarah said sarcastically. Sue sat there motionlessly, but she felt furious from embarrassment. "Sue, why did you argue with Mom? She did it for your own good, you know." Claire reprimanded her, but she didn't say anything else in case it would start another clash. A soft scrubbing noise came from the bathroom, which was far from the sofa. She couldn't hear the noise clearly, so Claire asked curiously, "Mom, who's in the bathroom?" "Who else could it be other than that swindler?" her mother cried. "He's still here?" Claire asked as she walked toward the bathroom. "Jack, don't worry about him." Sarah held her back. She looked at Jack and Claire and said, "I told him to clean the toilet. It stinks. Let him stay in there alone." "This is too shameless. Where does he think he is? His place with his family? A swindler who thinks he can stay in our house?" Claire was dragged back to her seat by her mother. She purposely said it loudly so he could hear her from the bathroom, but Alex had his earphones on and was listening to music while scrubbing the toilet bowl. He couldn't hear the conversation in the living room. "Sue, he clearly tricked you. Do you still intend to keep dating him?" Claire looked at her sister. She liked to speak condescendingly to Sue in this way. "Listen to me. Split up with this guy before he gets you into trouble. We're so busy, we don't have time to fix your mess for you." "Since when have I troubled you, sister?" Sue couldn't help but retort angrily. "Ugh, what sort of attitude is that? I'm doing this for your own good, okay?" Claire was furious when she heard Sue speak to her in that manner. Sue had always been obedient to her, so how could she dare to speak to her like that? "Forget it," Sarah said. She lowered her voice and added, "She's enchanted by that man. It's useless for anyone to try and say anything now." Claire still mumbled to herself as she glanced at Gary again. "Sue, you don't know a good thing when you see it. You're actually willing to follow a swindler. What are you doing?" Then she spoke to Gary. "Gary, it's fine. My sister's a bit stupid sometimes. They won't be together for long." "Thank you," Gary nodded his head, feeling even more pleased with himself. It looked like Sue's family was on his side. Although Sue felt uncomfortable, she didn't say anything. Her sister treated her like this since she was so young, so she was already used to it. Rose gently squeezed Sue's hand and looked at her with some sympathy. She knew that her aunt had never liked it when her grandmother tried to introduce her to someone. When she heard that her aunt had found a boyfriend, Rose was quite happy for her. But she didn't expect that it would be a swindler. Sue could smile wryly at Rose. "Claire, we'll go to your house later. Let us see what this expensive villa looks like," Sarah said with a smile, changing the subject. It had already been more than 2 months since they said they had bought the house, and no one in the family had gone to visit yet. Sarah wanted to take advantage of that day's get-together so they could all visit Jack and Claire's villa together. "Do you want to go to the Washington Heights to take a look?" Rose asked. Preston University was very close to the area, so every time she saw a villa there, she felt especially envious. She would finally be able to go inside and take a look that day. Someday she would be able to show it off in front of her friends too. "Okay, we'll go later," Claire said as she smiled. She felt confident, as Mr. Ambrose had already given them a key to the villa. "You guys bought a villa at the Washington Heights?" Gary asked in surprise. Seeing Jack and Claire indifferently nod their heads, the respect reflected in Gary's eyes grew even stronger. "Impressive. The Washington Heights is currently one of the top residential areas in New York." The villa in the center there is sold for a sky-high price of almost $40 million, and no one in the city has surpassed that record. It's said that all the famous people in New York live there. Being able to buy a villa not only shows how wealthy you are, but how much power you have. I've been wanting to buy a place in the Washington Heights since last year, but even now I still could not do it. Jack and Claire were flattered by Gary's description. "So you also wanted to buy a house in the Washington Heights?" To be honest, the place there is not that easy to buy. It's not only limited by money, but you also need the right connections. Jack acted as if he understood the process very well, completely forgetting that he didn't really have a villa. "How about this? Let me see if I can help you get in touch with someone who can help you buy a place there. But whether or not you really can buy one, I'm not sure either." "That's great. Thank you, thank you." Gary shook Jack's hand vigorously. "Sue, look at your sister. She already has a villa in the Washington Heights. Tell me, where are you living? Think about it carefully. See if your mother is right or not." Sarah once again shifted the topic to Sue. Sue pursed her lips as she was unable to say anything. "Are you still living at Lawrence Heights?" Claire glanced at her sister. "You're already 26. You're still renting. That's quite a shame. Do you have any plans to buy a house?" No, Sue lowered her head. She didn't look at Claire or her mother. "She only makes $2,000 a month. After paying for rent and food, she only has $300 left over. How could she afford to buy a house with just that little bit of money? I won't be surprised if you start asking me for handouts," Sarah snorted. "Since when have I asked you for money?" Sue's nose crinkled and her eyes turned slightly wet. She forcefully held back her tears. "Fine. Since you didn't want my money, then you must have made all your own money. All the money you got for school must have fallen out of a money tree. Your mother never bought you any clothes. You must have all bought them on your own," Sarah complained. Sue was again rendered speechless by her words. Sue's cell phone rang. She picked it up without thinking and said to the person on the other end of the line, "Check it yourself. I've already made up what you owe me from the company. Don't call me again for it, okay?" With that, she hung up. Previously, when Sue had left her media company, she had discovered that they owed her a year or so of back pay, so she had called them to ask them to make up for it. "Sue, what's going on? Did something happen to your company? Tell me," Sarah asked as everyone in the room had heard Sue's phone call. Sue became extremely nervous as everyone looked at her. She clenched her fists and turned her head away. "I've lost my job," she tried to say calmly. "What?" Sarah slapped the coffee table heavily with her hand, making the glass on the table rattle. "When did it happen?" "It's been more than 3 months, she said timidly, her heart beating heavily. 3 months? Oh my, how have you been covering your expenses?" Sarah glared at her. "I'm out of work," Sue said. Hearing her words, Sarah excitedly stood up and was about to her, but Rose stopped her in time. "You're such a bad daughter. You really make me worry. Really. This is such a big deal. You've been in this situation for so long and you didn't even tell us about it? You're not 16 anymore. You're 26. So even now you're still as arrogant as ever. Let's see how you're going to live in the future. Don't come asking me for money. I don't have any either," her mother cried. Sarah was furious. It must be him who caused you to lose your job. Tell me that you're looking for a new job and that everything will be fine from now on. That guy's already lied to you so much. What can you say to me now?" Sue sat on the sofa in silence with her head down. Her mother had never shown her any patience, which is why she hadn't told her that she was jobless. "Damn it, look at what she's turned Sue into. This person is really malicious," Jack said. Although Claire and Sue didn't have a particularly good relationship, Jack and Sue were on good terms. As a brother-in-law and the only man in the family, Jack naturally had to stand up for his sister-in-law. "Mom, Dad's in the bathroom right now. If he dares to mess around in front of me, I'll fix him." "Right. Jack, go to the bathroom and drag him out. You don't need to be polite with him. You just have to have control yourself and don't let anything happen to him." Sarah felt that letting Jack solve the problem at that very moment for once and for all was a good idea. "I'll go with you. If that dares to resist, I won't be polite." Gary also joined in the ruckus. If Alex broke off his relationship with Sue, it would make it easier for him to pursue her. "Good, you two go. You can do whatever you want," Sarah urged. "What are you doing? What does my lack of work have to do with him?" How could Sue not be anxious when she heard that Jack and Gary wanted to beat Alex up? She stood up and was about to stop her brother-in-law. "It has nothing to do with him? Sue, I think you've been brainwashed by that man." Sarah stopped Sue and looked at Jack. "Quickly, go find him. Don't worry about her." "Gary, let's go," Jack called out, and the two of them headed for the bathroom. "What are you guys doing? Come back here. It's none of his business." Sue panicked. She wanted to grab hold of Jack and Gary, but Sarah and Claire held her back. Sue wanted to break free, but she couldn't escape from their grasp. Let me go, get out of the way. You guys come back. My job loss has nothing to do with him." Sue was almost fighting with her mother and Claire. She shouted, "Alex, quickly leave, go, go." "The reason you're so afraid is because you know that he's the culprit, right?" Claire hugged Sue and said, "That guy came to our mother's house today. Do you think we'll be able to make him leave?" She looked at Jack. "There's no need to be nice to him." Rose anxiously stood beside Sue and everyone else. She didn't know what she could do. Seeing the three adults struggling, she could only say helplessly, "All of you, stop fighting. Please stop fighting." Jack and Gary had already reached the door to the bathroom. They saw a young man with his back to them, wearing earphones and listening to music while wearing plastic gloves to wipe the toilet bowl. Beside him was a bucket of water with a green rag. "You're intentionally pretending that you can't hear me, right?" Jack said, but the young man kept on cleaning the toilet. "Damn you, get him for me, Gary." Jack raised his chin toward Gary, and the two of them slowly approached the young man from behind with evil looks in their eyes. "Before you even try to put on an act and melt Sue's heart, I'm going to pour water over your head." Gary walked behind Alex and slowly squatted down. He lifted the bucket full of dirty water up and over Alex's shoulder. Jack gave him a thumbs up. Just as Gary was about to pour the water over him, Alex turned his head to reach for the green rag. Seeing the young man's face, Jack was shocked. He made a grab for Gary's arm that was holding the bucket. As Jack jerked his arm, the bucket tipped and completely drenched Gary from head to toe. The water went into his mouth as well. One could smell the detergent mixed with the dirt. Alex and Jack only got a few splashes on their pant legs. "Why are you watering your own head? Damn, I got a kick out of that." Alex took out his earphones and looked at the rest of his body. Luckily, he wasn't wet. Why are you..." Only then did Alex notice that the person standing in front of him was Jack, who had begged him to rent the villa. Jack smiled stiffly. As Gary was standing beside him, he didn't dare to admit that he recognized Alex. When he was standing at the bathroom door, Alex had his back to him. Also, his clothes were very different from what he normally wore. Jack hadn't recognized him until he had turned around, and his heart almost flew out of his throat when he saw Alex's face. "What are you all doing?" Alex was curious as to why Jack and Gary were standing behind him. He abruptly stopped speaking and let out a painful cry. Why are you cleaning the toilet? Yuck, this is too rude. Please stop doing that. This was a very rich man, one who had bought 2 villas, including one worth $40 million, and there he was cleaning a toilet. Not to mention that Jack was also borrowing Alex's villa in the Washington Heights. It was like a huge joke. Please come out, Jack said, throwing away the rag that Alex held in his hand and inviting him out of the bathroom. What's going on? Gary wondered. He had been drenched in toilet water, so he still didn't understand. What is Jack doing, he thought. He wiped himself with a towel and walked out of the bathroom. Sue and the other 2 ladies were still struggling with each other while Rose stood to the side. She was unable to make a move. They saw Jack and Alex walk out of the bathroom with a smile. The 3 of them stopped. Sue and Sarah hesitated. How come it seemed like Jack was trying to please him? Claire's heart skipped a beat. How could it be him, she thought. Rose also felt the same way. When she saw Alex, she had a strange feeling in her heart. Seeing that Claire was also there, Alex made the connection that Claire and Sue were related. He couldn't help but sigh. This really was a small world. When he saw Rose, his gaze only paused on her for a moment before he looked away. Jack, he was the one who tricked Sue. Why are you treating him like this? Sarah looked angrily at the contented smiles on their faces. She felt that Jack was being really unreliable this time around. Jack couldn't think of what to say at the moment. He rolled his eyes as he walked over to Sarah with a fake smile. Mom, it might just be a misunderstanding. I think he's a pretty decent man. Yeah, Mom, didn't Sue say that Mr. Ambrose wasn't lying to her? Right, Sue? Claire also spoke up for Alex. Yes, he didn't lie to me. Sue was stunned, but she didn't understand why her sister would speak kindly on her behalf. Maybe we overthought this. Mom, please calm down first. Let's sit down and have a chat, Claire said, as it occurred to her that her sister should really try to catch this billionaire. Sarah was also curious about the sudden change in the attitude of her daughter and son-in-law. She was reluctant to sit down with Alex, but she ended up sitting on the sofa. Alex, do you want to sit too? Claire asked carefully. Alex nodded and sat beside Sue. Seeing Alex sitting together with her aunt and thinking about how he was now her aunt's boyfriend, Rose felt sad for some reason. She turned her head away and no longer looked at him. Although she was comforting herself, Rose's heart was still a little messy. She felt as if she had lost something. Gary also walked over and explained why he was wet. He said he had accidentally fallen in the bathroom. He wanted to move a stool to sit next to Sue, but when he heard Sue's unintentional mutter about how smelly he was, he tactfully moved farther away from her. He gave Alex a look that was filled with anger. Jack originally wanted everyone to sit together and let Alex and Sue's matter pass, but Sarah still had a bad impression of Alex. Jack and Claire were also afraid that if they continued to speak up for him, it would arouse Sarah's suspicion and disgust. If they messed up a good thing, it would be bad news for their villa rental. Jack brought up a distraction just in time. It's almost noon. Mom, let's go to my villa. We'll have lunch together, Jack suggested as he looked at the others. Jack had driven his car to his mother-in-law's house. Sarah and Rose got in the car first, while Jack and Claire waited outside. Alex had not climbed in yet, and they didn't want to get in the car before him. Sue, hurry up and get in the car with Mr. Ambrose, Jack said politely. Claire also smiled apologetically. Sue and Alex opened the car doors and started to get in. Although Sue was curious about their behavior change, it was refreshing to see her sister and brother-in-law act more nicely towards them. Get out! This isn't your car, Sarah said as she glared at Alex. Mom, don't say such harsh words. There's plenty of space inside, Jack said with a frown. He stole a glance at Alex. He was afraid that Alex might get angry and reveal that Jack was renting the villa from him for the day. Even if there's room for him, he's not allowed in here. He might get the wrong ideas if he gets used to sitting in nice cars, Sarah said as she continued to speak negatively about Alex. She waved at Gary, who was standing outside. Gary, let's go there together. Okay, Gary agreed, pushing Alex aside and getting into the car. Jack looked at Alex with embarrassment. Okay, I won't go with you, Alex said to reassure Jack as he patted him on the shoulder, smiled indifferently and left. Don't come back, Sarah said angrily. She glanced at Sue and said, Why are you still standing there? Get in the car and sit next to Gary. Sue looked at her mother, but she didn't say a word. She turned around and chased after Alex. Come back here, Sarah yelled after her daughter, but she didn't look back. Jack drove Sarah, Claire, Rose, and Gary to the Washington Heights. As they drove, Jack and Claire felt uneasy. They had borrowed Mr. Ambrose's villa, but Sarah had been unkind toward him. When they arrived, everyone got out of the car. I wonder if Sue will come back, Gary muttered worriedly. Don't worry, she'll come back, Rose whispered to him. That day was her grandfather's anniversary, so one of the three girls had to be present. That damn girl better not bring that swindler with her, Sarah said with a dark expression. Claire, take everyone to the villa. I'll go and buy some groceries now. I'll show you a thing or two with my cooking today, Jack said. All right, Mom, everyone, let's go. Claire led them into the residential area, while her husband walked toward the nearby market. As he walked, Jack phoned Sue to check in on her. He was relieved to hear that she and Alex had taken a taxi to the Washington Heights. He continued to walk to the market to buy some food. Claire led everyone to the villa's front door. When she inserted the key into the lock, her hands were trembling. After all, this wasn't her house. But she heaved a sigh of relief when she heard the door click open. Come in, Mom, Rose. Claire lightly wiped the sweat off her forehead and gestured for Sarah and the rest to enter. Gary, please come in. The group walked into the villa. They were shocked when they saw how it was decorated. After seeing the decor, everyone's eyes lit up. It looked as if they had entered a palace. So beautiful, Rose whispered with shining eyes as she sized up everything in the living room. It had exceeded her imagination. This is amazing. It must have cost a lot of money to renovate to this quality, right? Sarah snapped out of her daze and gave Claire a big thumbs up. Claire was also shocked. When she looked at her mother, she remembered that the villa did not belong to her. She smiled awkwardly and said, I didn't spend that much money. You didn't spend that much money? Fine. I see that the two of you have gained a lot of wealth these last 2 years, her mother said with a smile. She walked with Rose around the living room and looked at the decor. After a few rounds, Rose and Sarah sat on the sofa. Gary and Claire also sat down. Alex didn't want to go to the villa anymore, but Sue persuaded him to go with her. If her mother thought that he had run away, then she would have more reasons to push her toward Gary. I'm sorry, but my mother is that kind of person, Sue said, as she felt very sorry for the outrageous words that her mother had uttered at her house. It's fine, I don't mind, Alex said quietly with a faint smile. He was not heartless, but he had experienced excessive bullying before, so his resistance to it had become stronger. Thank you. Sue felt slightly more at ease. She raised her head to look around the area. With a trace of confusion in her eyes, she murmured, I wonder which house belongs to my brother-in-law. Come with me, Alex said and walked in the direction of the villa. Sue followed him in confusion. The doorbell rang, so Claire went to open the door. Sue, Alex, you're here, she exclaimed. Sue glanced at Alex. She couldn't understand how he had known where to find the villa. If you had just gone away, I would admire you more as a man. I didn't expect you to follow us here. How shameless, Sarah said coldly when she saw them arrive. Sue was afraid that Alex would get angry when he heard her mother's words, but she looked at his expression and saw that he was quite calm, so she did not say anything. She brought him into the living room and tried to avoid her mother and the sofa that everyone was sitting on. Sarah could only sigh helplessly when she watched her daughter avoid them. That's right, Rose. How did you solve those problems the last time? I was worried to death. Sarah temporarily ignored Alex and looked at Rose, continuing a conversation they'd been having. Rose had messed with the Trader Joe's group, and it had caused a huge ruckus in their family. When everyone felt helpless, Rose's family declared that they had solved the problem perfectly. Oh, that time. It was solved by a mysterious person who asked President Chase of the Merchant Union to come forward, Rose said with a smile. A mysterious person? Sarah, Claire, and Gary looked at each other in confusion. Are you saying that your family still hasn't figured out who the person is? Yes, Rose laughed awkwardly. However, it should have nothing to do with my father. It's very likely that it was a student at Preston University. Rose did not have any clue about this at first, until the evening of the night market, when she had been kidnapped by Lucille and saved once again by a mysterious man. She gradually had a feeling that the person who had saved her twice could be the same person. The people in her circle were all Preston University students, which was why she was certain that this mysterious person was also a student. Thinking about this, Rose could not help but glance at Alex, who was chatting with her aunt. A few days ago, she had thought Alex may be that mysterious man. But now that she had thought about it some more, she decided it was a ridiculous idea. Rose somehow felt angry when she saw Alex and her aunt sitting together. They looked comfortable talking and laughing with each other. Oh, so it's like that, Sarah said, but she was still confused. She patted Rose's hand. You must properly express your gratitude if you're sure that one of your classmates has helped you. If it's appropriate, you could also try dating. Grandmother, what are you talking about? A rare, bashful look appeared on Rose's face. Oh, you're still such a shy little girl. I'm telling you the truth. Think about it. The kind of person that could make Donald Brennan of the Trader Joe's group back down is not a joke. Just pay attention, okay? Sarah whispered as she leaned toward her granddaughter. Seeing that Rose's bashful expression was becoming more serious, her grandmother laughed and said, All right, I'll stop now. Sarah and the group chatted for a while longer, but when Sarah saw Alex and Sue sitting together in the small, distant living room, she got angry. He's in the same school as you, right? Have you heard of him? Sarah said loudly on purpose, interrupting their chat. Rose could not help but glance at Alex. She noticed that he was looking at her, and when she saw him sitting with her aunt and looking like the perfect couple, a trace of hatred rose inside her heart. Of course I know him. I met him once when he was doing business with my father at the First Republic Bank. He didn't even have a card. He just rushed in recklessly and hit my head. He's very good at boasting. When my family was in trouble, he even faked that we would be fine, but he didn't do anything. Last week I went to the night market with my best friend, and she'd asked him to protect us. But when we were in danger, he ran away. He didn't apologize or show any concern. He didn't do anything at all, Rose reflected. Alex sat in the smaller living room and watched Rose vent her anger. He turned his head away bitterly and looked disappointed. Alex, Sue said to him in a low voice. She never thought he would have this kind of conflict with her niece. Although she had only known him for less than 2 days, Sue knew that he was not like what Rose had described. I'm fine. Whatever she says doesn't affect me. Alex raised his head and smiled at Sue. Don't lie to me. I can see that you care, Sue said. Although Alex was smiling, it was with a hint of disappointment. She leaned toward him and asked with concern, Do you have a misunderstanding with Rose? Alex didn't say anything. He turned his head and looked out the window to hide the sadness in his eyes. He thought about how he had helped Rose so much, but now she mocked him in front of everyone. He felt foolish. Rose, who had been chattering non-stop, jumped up in fright. Looking at Alex, whose anger had turned to embarrassment, she felt a trace of guilt. He looks so angry. I must have made him furious, but why do I feel so uneasy and guilty now? Isn't this what I want to see? She thought. countless questions appeared in her mind. "What's wrong with you?" Sarah found another opportunity to dislike Alex. "You're still so cocky in my daughter's house." Sarah pointed her finger at him. "Get the hell out of here. Who do you think you are? I've told you this before when you said and did those wicked things back at my house," she cried. Alex really wanted to kick Sarah out, but he stopped himself when he saw Claire. After all, he had made a promise to her and her husband the previous day. If he could not keep his promise, it would make life difficult for this couple. Alex kept his promises, so he did not say anything. "Mom, don't talk so much. It's not a big deal, so please just sit down." Claire quickly calmed her mother and complained. "My dear mother, can you not cause me any more trouble? You're making me worry." With Claire's comforting words, Sarah also sat down. Claire ran to open the door. Jack had finally returned, so she felt slightly relieved. "Sorry, I've made you all wait. I'll go to the kitchen now and get dinner ready." He walked in with a large shopping bag filled with all kinds of vegetables and meat. On his other hand were live chickens. "Where's the kitchen?" Jack whispered to Claire. She ushered him toward the kitchen. Very soon, the sound of tinkling could be heard. Sarah stood up and went to help them cook. All goes well. Gary couldn't get close to Sue now, so he decided to make her mother happy before making a move. He followed Sarah into the kitchen. Rose's mood was somewhat calmer. She walked up the stairs to the second floor to look around. Georgina had been quietly sitting in her room when she heard the sounds of clucking with her sensitive ears. She slowly opened her eyes and stood up. For the first time, she opened the door and slowly walked out of her room. Rose was in a room on the second floor and did not notice Georgina, the grandma, passing by. Grandma walked down the stairs slowly and lightly. She did not make a single sound. It was not until Grandma got down the stairs that she noticed there were more people in the house. Alex saw her when she was already in the living room. He couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Why did she come down here? Who are you? Claire and Sue also noticed Grandma's presence. Granny, these are my friends. Alex ran to her side. What's wrong? Sarah, Gary, and Jack came out of the kitchen to see what was going on. Seeing the strange woman in the living room, Sarah was extremely surprised. The doorbell hadn't rung, which meant that this woman had always been in the house. Sarah looked at Jack angrily and asked, Jack, who is she? Why is she in your villa? I don't know. Jack was also confused. How could he know that there was another person in the villa? You still want to lie to me? So Sarah saw that this strange woman was prettier than her daughter. Mom, I believe Jack. He has nothing to do with this woman, Claire said, speaking up for her husband. She knew that this villa belonged to Alex. Even if there was a hidden beauty inside, she would be here because of him and not her husband. You're all in trouble, Sarah cursed loudly. You're so noisy. The woman's sharp eyes landed on Sarah and the rest of the group. This vase is so odd, Sarah sighed and continued to snap at the intruder. Little, then get the hell out of here right now. Are you tired of living, damn you? The strange young woman got angry when she heard Sarah. Seeing this, Alex was shocked and hurriedly grabbed Grandma's hand. Granny, no, they don't understand. Please leave them alone, Alex said in a low voice. Let go. Alex knew that at least one person would if he let go of her. Although he was afraid, he still held tightly onto her hand. For some reason, the gaze of the strange woman standing in front of her made Sarah's heart turn cold, and she took a step back. Sarah, don't be afraid. I'll protect you. I think she wants to go up, so I'll defend you. It was a good time to please Sarah, so Gary volunteered to protect her. Are you still not letting go? Grandma's shoulders trembled. He felt as though he had been twisted into a circle, but he still did not let go of her. Seeing Alex grit his teeth, Grandma's heart skipped a beat, and her eyes became blank for a moment. She seemed to have thought of something. Let go, she demanded. Alex had no choice but to let her go after Grandma put in a bit more effort. Alex's heart instantly turned cold. They were all unharmed, except for Gary, who had been standing in front of Sarah. His clothes slowly revealed long slits. One piece of cloth fell to the ground. 2 pieces of cloth fell to the ground. A few more pieces of cloth fell to the ground. Gary's clothes were tattered. It was as if someone had used a pair of scissors to cut them up. Gary moved stiffly as he touched his body. It felt like he had survived a disaster. The others were also stunned. Then she slowly walked toward Alex and said, "This group of people is very annoying. I'll go out and look around. I'll be back in 2 hours. If they're still here, I won't care about the consequences." "Yes," Alex nodded. She did not one, which was already a relief for him. With that, Grandma slowly walked out of the villa. "Mom, how are you?" Sue, Claire, and Jack rushed to Sarah's side. Sarah started crying. She stood up and pointed angrily at Alex. "So you brought that damn woman here. You'll pay for this." Sarah was no longer afraid after the woman left, so she decided to vent all her anger on him. "Gary, go over there and slap him twice. I'll let you marry my daughter." Sarah grabbed him by his tattered clothes, commanding him to take revenge for her. "Maybe next time. I still need to see a doctor, so I won't be staying." Gary rushed out of the villa in his tattered clothes. "Jack, this is your villa, and then help me call the police to arrest that damn woman." Sarah felt extremely upset and wanted Alex to pay the price. Jack mumbled in embarrassment. This was Mr. Ambrose's villa, so how could he kick him out? "Mom, calm down first. Let's sit down and talk." "What are you talking about? I don't have anything to talk about with this damn swindler." Sarah was flustered and exasperated. She stood up and walked toward the door angrily as she spoke. Jack and the rest of the group could not stop her. "You stay. I can leave," Alex said. It seemed he had no choice but to go away. He walked over to Jack and patted his shoulder. "I'll leave now and come back in 2 hours." "Get lost! What right do you have to come back here in 2 hours? Do you think this is your home? We don't want to see you again." Sarah felt great when she heard that Alex was leaving. Alex sighed and walked toward the door. "This is your home. Why are you leaving?" An apologetic voice could be heard from the second floor. The voice belonged to Rose. Sarah. "That's right, Rose. This is my home." "Why are you saying that it's Alex's home?" asked. Rose was crying so hard she couldn't even breathe. Her family looked at her with stunned expressions. "Rose, what's wrong with you?" "What should we do?" "What's wrong? Don't cry, just breathe." "What is it? You can tell your grandmother. Don't cry so much, my child." They gathered around Rose and looked at her worriedly. But Rose walked in front of Alex and gazed at him with tears in her eyes. "I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me." Rose kept saying those words over and over again. She wanted to hear him forgive her. "All right, you don't need to say any more. I'll forgive you," Alex said with a frown. He hated Rose's actions toward him, but when he saw how much she was crying now and how sincere and humble her apology sounded, he was quite moved. She felt that she truly meant it this time. "Thank you," Rose said sincerely. Alex's forgiveness had made her feel much better. "Rose, why are you apologizing to him? What's going on?" Sarah still didn't understand what Rose was saying. "Grandma, don't you understand? He's the one who helped us before," Rose said, looking at Sarah with a mournful expression. Sarah looked at Alex in disbelief. She could not accept what her granddaughter had said. She looked at Rose and said, "You think that this villa belongs to him?" Rose nodded. Sarah did not believe it. She then shifted her gaze toward Jack and Claire. At this moment, her perception was being shifted. "How can this luxurious villa belong to this?" she thought. She urgently needed Jack and Claire to give her an answer that would let her return to normal. However, both her daughter and son-in-law had awkward expressions on their faces. They didn't know how to react, so her heart turned cold. "Claire, is the villa yours?" Sarah still held on to her last sliver of hope. "No." As things stood, there was nothing Jack or Claire could say. "What?" Sarah shouted anxiously. Her eyes went red as she spat the question out, with her eyeballs nearly popping out of their sockets. "No, you'll understand when I explain. I was going to buy this villa, but... Anyway, this villa actually belongs to Mr. Ambrose. We're just borrowing it for the day." Jack blurted out the truth in a panic. Sarah sat down on the sofa. Her heart had nearly stopped beating. "Mom, are you all right?" Claire quickly asked. "Mr. Ambrose, I'm really sorry for making you suffer at my mother-in-law's earlier," Jack said, apologizing to Alex. "Help me up," Sarah said to her two daughters after resting for a few seconds with her eyes tightly shut. Claire and Sue, one on each side, helped Sarah stand. She walked toward Alex. Alex looked into her eyes and thought that she was still going to destroy him even then. Just when he was thinking of this, she knelt in front of him. "Mr. Ambrose, I'm sorry. I offended you. Please forgive me," she said quietly. "Mom, what are you doing?" To him. Now that Alex was rich, she didn't go near him. "Go, Sue," shouted her mother. "What's there to be shy about? We're all family," urged Jack and Claire. Sue couldn't figure out what exactly was the right thing to do, so she lowered her head and walked Alex's side. "So you're rich," Sue said timidly, as she looked up at him with a pitiful and shy expression. Alex didn't know what to say. He had complicated feelings swirling through his heart as he sat on the sofa with her. "Yes, they look really good together," Sarah said as she nodded in satisfaction. "Seriously, Mother, please stop," Sue remarked. "A nice pair, don't you think so, Rose?" Jack said. Rose's eyes were still red. Seeing Alex sitting together with her aunt, she felt a little bit of pain in her heart. She ignored Jack and turned her head away. Hearing Sarah and Jack, Sue and Alex became more and more worried. They felt that this flurry of words was getting more and more complicated. Sue kept rubbing her hands together, thinking about how she had asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend. "Mom, you might not know that Mr. Ambrose has another villa in this district too," Jack said. He hoped that Sue could win him over so that Alex could help him. "When you came into the district, Did you see that villa on the artificial island? Alex gave Jack a warning look, but he had already blurted out this information. Are you saying that the villa on the artificial island belongs to Mr. Ambrose? When Sarah had come into the residential area, she had noticed that villa. According to Gary, it was the most expensive house in New York City. That's right. It's worth $40 million, Claire said with a smile. Rose's mind was a mess. She looked at Alex quietly with her heart racing. She felt that he was a very strange and mysterious man. Mr. Ambrose, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. No, that's not what I meant. I mean, you really have a lot of money. I'm not... Oh my, look at me. Whenever I'm nervous, I always say the wrong thing. Sarah became incoherent. Her mind was filled with thoughts of her daughter becoming immeasurably wealthy. I'm saying that my daughter can be with you. Sue, you must treat Alex well in the future. Do you understand? Sarah said. Sue, you must cherish Mr. Ambrose, Jack added. I think you and Sue will be able to get along forever, Claire said. The worry in Alex's heart became heavier. He felt conflicted and wondered how to end this pretend situation in the future. A calm voice spoke up. You guys have misunderstood. Mr. Ambrose and I are not a couple.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.